Siblings of the golden child. When did your parents' favoritism come back to bite them? Ever since we were kids, Ryan was the quiet, weird one, and Jake was the golden boy. Jake played football, got decent grades, and was the one our parents bragged about to neighbors. Ryan, he liked computers, didn't talk much, and spent most of his time in the garage tinkering with broken electronics. His parents barely noticed unless he forgot to do chores. I was Ryan. Jake was my older brother. Growing up, every conversation at dinner was about Jake's touchdown, or Jake's girlfriend, or Jake's plans for college. When I showed my dad the robot I built from old radio parts, he just nodded and asked if I'd taken out the trash yet. When Jake graduated, they threw him this huge party. When I graduated 2 years later, they took me to Applebee's. That was the difference between us. As adults, Jake stayed local and went into car sales. I moved across the country for an IT job at a tech company. We drifted apart, and so did my connection with the family. Phone calls became rare. Holidays even rarer. My parents would call maybe twice a year, usually to tell me about something amazing Jake was doing. One Tuesday morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was a hospital in my hometown. My mom had been in a car accident. Serious. Her car flipped on the interstate. My number was listed as her emergency contact. I was confused because I figured Jake would be the one they called first. I booked the first flight out, canceled all my meetings, and got there 6 hours later. When I arrived at the hospital, I learned the truth from the nurse. Jake had changed his number months ago, and my parents never updated their emergency contact information. The hospital had tried calling Jake's old number for hours before they reached me. I asked the nurse if anyone else had been contacted. She shrugged and said, "You were the only one who answered." Ryan took care of everything that first night. I stayed in that uncomfortable hospital chair, spoke to doctors about her injuries, filled out insurance paperwork. When my mom finally woke up the next morning, the first thing she said through her oxygen mask was, "Where's Jake?" That stung worse than I expected, but I just answered honestly. He didn't come. I tried calling Jake myself. Straight to voicemail. I texted him. Nothing. Finally got through to him on the third day. Turns out he was in Cancun with his girlfriend. Some vacation they'd planned for months. When I told him about Mom's accident, he said he couldn't deal with hospital stuff right now and that I seemed to have it handled. He actually said that he couldn't deal with it. For the next week, I handled everything. Hospital bills, talking to insurance companies, setting up rehab appointments, organizing her medications. I even had to help the nurses give her baths when they were too busy. I was exhausted, angry, but I still did it because somebody had to. And when it came time for discharge planning, the social worker asked the big question. Who would Mom be living with during her recovery? She needed help walking, cooking, taking her meds. She couldn't live alone for at least 2 months. Jake had ghosted every single call and text by then, radio silence for 8 days. So when the social worker asked, I looked her straight in the eye and said, "She can't stay with me. I live 3,000 miles away, and honestly, she never treated me like a real son anyway. She chose her favorite kid a long time ago. Let him take care of her." I walked out of that hospital room while my mom was crying and begging me to reconsider. I heard her telling the social worker that I was always dramatic and that Jake would figure something out. 3 days later, Jake was forced to fly home and completely scrambled to rearrange his entire life. His apartment was a studio with no room for a wheelchair. He had no medical equipment, no experience with recovery care, and no vacation days left from work. He had to move Mom into his tiny place anyway. Their mom cried the whole ride to his apartment. And Jake, he called me 2 days later, screaming at me over the phone, saying I was selfish and that I'd abandoned family when they needed me most. I hung up on him. I haven't spoken to